Meta has kicked off significant layoffs aimed at sharpening its focus on AI investments and operational efficiency. At least that's what they're saying. Approximately 4,000 employees, or about 5% of the workforce, will be affected as Mark Zuckerberg pushes the need for high performance within the company. Many staffers now expressing anxiety and fear, as you would imagine, about the changes, believing the cost-cutting measures could unfairly tarnish reputations as they enter the job market. Amid these cuts, Meta is also restructuring various teams, merging divisions to streamline operations. Let's head to London now to get more. We're joined by Hugh Langley, senior correspondent at Business Insider. Hugh, great to have you here on Ticker.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Now, I know you've done a lot of fantastic reporting on this very topic. So what's the main reason we know that Meta is cutting thousands of jobs? Is it just to save money?
Well, CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced in January that they would be making these cuts of approximately 5% of the workforce. He said that this would be to cut out low performers. Like other tech companies, Meta will kind of get rid of low performers over the course of, say, a year. But what was different this time is they said they were going to do it over a very short space of time. So this Monday, they announced and they told employees that would be affected that their jobs would be eliminated. And the reason they gave was that their performance was not high enough.
How is Meta identifying which employees to lay off? When you say about low performing, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, so this is the tricky thing. So Meta, again, like other tech companies, employees are given employee reviews over the year. They're kind of given a score, if you like. Per the internal guidance we've seen, managers this time were told to do a version of that and to bucket employees into certain sort of gradings, and employees that were in the kind of bottom two were the ones that were deemed the low performers in this case, and were the ones that were told that their jobs would be eliminated.
How much of this do you think is to be on side with the Trump administration and Doge? This sounds like the sort of conversation that might happen on the Joe Rogan podcast or over a couple of drinks with the head of X, of course, Elon Musk, who really has done a similar thing. Is Mark Zuckerberg essentially just replicating what Elon Musk did at X when he took over?
Yeah, so there's been like a lot of changes inside Meta over the last few weeks. The cuts are just kind of one facet of that. There's also, at the start of the year, Mark Zuckerberg announced that they'd be pulling back on some of their content moderation. They'd be getting rid of some of their third-party fact checkers, and that they would be letting more political content onto the platform. Those moves definitely felt very direct and pointed at the incoming Trump administration. This time, yeah, I mean, we can see a little bit of the Elon Musk approach, the more kind of cutthroat approach to running companies here. I think some of it as well may also be to send more encouraging signals to the street, who may be, there might be a bit of alarm there when they're seeing how much money Meta is spending on AI right now, like every other tech company. The recent guidance, they think it was about 60 to 65 billion they're expecting to spend this year on capex for AI. It's a lot of money. So moves like this can kind of help balance things out a little bit. So yes, there might be a bit of the Elon thing in here, but I think also some of it's about sending these signals that Meta is, being more efficient. This has been a real thing with Mark's as well for the last 2 years, just making Meta more efficient. And this is like another step in that, it feels.
You make a really fantastic point. We go back a few years where investors in Meta were becoming quite worried, or they were investors in Facebook at the time, who were becoming quite worried that Facebook was just reliant on advertising. Then the company became Meta, and billions were spent on the metaverse, but no one had any legs or pants in the metaverse, and it kind of became a bit of a joke. And then all of a sudden the money then headed towards, as you say, AI, and a lot of money, I mean, eye-watering sums were being spent on AI at Meta. I can't really see it as a consumer yet or use it, given that OpenAI has become the dominant force in consumer use of AI anyway. Is this really something that was a long time coming, that many of these employees might have been working on projects like the no-leg metaverse?
Well, Meta's metaverse vision, whatever that is, there's still a vision there. They still have their Reality Labs division, which works on the metaverse. But, one thing they're really interested in right now is augmented reality, glasses. They think, they're betting more on that, of a future where it's not necessarily about putting the headset on, whether we have legs or not on our virtual avatars, but about, wearing, say, glasses and having an overlay of the on top of the world. I think what's interesting about that vision is it kind of goes hand in hand with the AI stuff, because you can start seeing a world where, okay, if you have a very good AI assistant on your face, say, then you sort of bring those two ideas together. So there's still a bit of like justifying that, that investment in AR, VR, that world. But yes, like everyone else, Meta is going fully in on AI right now, and they see opportunity to infuse AI across, all of their platforms. Yes, Facebook, but also Instagram, they have WhatsApp, and then yes, all the potential augmented reality stuff. So this is quite a broad thing for them potentially.
I would imagine as a business journalist, you like me have spoken to a lot of companies over the last 4, 5, 10 years where it's all been about improving culture, particularly at tech companies that struggled to try and hire from big corporates in the beginning as startups, and they focused on culture. Silicon Valley was all about riding around on push bikes, playing table tennis at work. You think of kind of all of the Pixar behind the scenes, etc. But surely targeting 4,000 employees because you've deemed them to be at the lower 5% performers of the company will have an impact on the very culture that Silicon Valley has been telling the world this is how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also been a bit of a trend of this over the last few years where, yes, you're right, Silicon Valley was all about coddling employees, the best perks, they wanted to bring that talent in, and a great way to do that was through great perks, obviously great salaries. What is now, yes, happening is we're seeing a bit more of a kind of cutthroat attitude come into Silicon Valley. I think what's interesting about this round of Meta layoffs is they are, as you say, branding them as low performers. Meta's done cuts in the past. They did a big one a couple of years ago, but that wasn't as pointed at calling the employees low performers. So it does have a bit of a cultural impact there, because you've got employees going into the market now who are branded as low performers. That's not a good thing. And then for those, I speak to a lot of employees still there who are like, well, this doesn't make me feel particularly great about my security at the company. But in a way, maybe that is what Mark and other leadership want here. They want to kind of reinstate a kind of feeling of like you said, maybe a bit of that startup mentality, but that kind of cutthroat approach, and that feeling that you have to be a high performer in order to survive at this company.
It's been a bit like the space race, right? AI has been a fight between different companies trying to have dominance. We saw the impact that DeepSeek had on the market just a few weeks ago when China announced that they've got this brand new AI product that can perform the same as ChatGPT, but just at a much lower cost. Do you think that how do you think that traders, investors will be looking at Meta cutting 4,000 workers? Will they be worried that Meta won't be able to compete in the AI space, or will they be relieved that Meta is perhaps taking a bit more of a common sense approach to spending on AI?
Well, as I said, they've announced quite a lot of money is going to be going onto AI capex this year, between $60 to $65 billion. We've seen eye-watering sums from other tech giants announcing a similar big capex spends as well. So yes, when we saw the earnings a few days ago, there was a few alarm bells, I think, going off. I think, these companies are always thinking a few steps ahead, and maybe, we don't know, but perhaps these cuts were a way of kind of, as I said, sending some of that signal to the street. But, as well with the DeepSeek thing you mentioned, I think what's interesting about that is Meta has taken a very open source approach to its AI so far. We've seen kind of closed off models from OpenAI and Google and others. Meta has been open source, and the DeepSeek model that kind of took the world by storm was open source. And I think that Meta, at least in the messaging that they've signaled, is like, this is kind of an endorsement of what we're doing, and like this is showing that we're on the right path. So in some ways, I think they've been quite clever with the messaging, and actually maybe they're sending the right signals right now, that they're making the right in AI. But look, it's still, early innings in this whole AI race, as you said, and I think it remains to be seen who is actually taking the right approach here.
Yeah, well, for other AI competitors to Meta, they've got 4,000 new hires that they can take a look at. Hugh Langley in London, senior correspondent at Business Insider. As I say, you've done some great work covering what's been happening at Meta over the past few weeks. Appreciate you finding the time to talk to us here at Ticker News. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.